Go ahead.
So, as always, if you are able, I would like to please rise and or just take notice and pay homage to the great, the gamer, the one who's ready for the moment, the one that goes by Jigathon, Fieldhouse legend, Pack the Riv. However you recognize him, I'm wearing a headband in honor of him today. I'd also ask if able, please rock your headbands at half staff in honor of Trey Holloman, because usually his headband starts somewhere up in here. So yeah, I'd just like to get that out the way right now.
That's because he has my hairline, so he pushes it up to the edge of the hairline.
So if Trey Holloman had a good hairline, are we having all American talks?
I don't know about that. He was 3 for 12 last night, but he did hit the biggest shot of the season. It was absolutely incredible. Yeah, I wanted to let you get the first word in. You deserve the first word. And honestly, I feel like you deserve like 2 more minutes of just gloating, victory lapping, whatever this is. I am in awe of this Michigan State team, what they've done in the last 2 weeks, and how they're doing it. It is incredible to watch. But I feel like you should be the one who gets to speak on that, not me.
Yeah, I mean, it's just this Michigan State team. I mean, there's a lot of things they did in this game. In spite of like Jay Nakin's no showing it, and honestly, for a major portion of this game, Trey Holloman was also not showing up in this game, at least on the offensive end. I think he was very good defensively in this game. I don't think we talk about his defense at least enough for my liking. He was incredible defensively, especially in that second half. He had Miguel, Gillespie. I mean, he was all over them in that game. But when we needed him to get going and hit shots, he was able to get. I mean, he scored all nine of his points in the second half. And we needed all nine of them. And you know what Michigan State's bigs were able to do on the interior defensively. We'll talk more about that and touch on how Maryland approached this basketball game. But this was an ugly rock fight of a basketball game, and one where Michigan State got enough stops and buckets towards the end of the second half to separate us. I mean, we were up nine with 2 minutes, and I was like, okay, this one's over. And then we almost throw it away. Trey Holloman being the person who almost throws the game away with the turnover and the foul, questionable foul, looked like a little clean swipe, but hey, you can't turn it over in that spot. And then for him to come back and be able to hit that 60 footer, I mean, it was poetic. It was definitely hype. Because that would have been one where you're like, damn, we're up with nine with 2 minutes left, and somehow we end up throwing that game away. You kick yourself for that one. So yeah, I mean this win streak that Michigan State is on is one of the more impressive things I think we've seen in the Big Ten, going 4-0 over that stretch. I don't think anyone would have called that.
It's one of the more impressive things I have ever seen from a
Ever
college
seen?
basketball team. Yeah, it's where I'm at. I don't know. And again, I feel like in saying that there comes with some like inherent disrespect to these players, and that's not what I'm trying to do because I'll speak on this more throughout the video. I've sort of come to terms with what this Michigan State team is. I think they're the best team in the Big Ten, pretty clearly. And I think that's going to translate to either a shared title or an outright title. But I have no issue saying like this is clearly the best team. I've watched every Big Ten game that I can for Purdue, Illinois, Michigan, Michigan State, Indiana, shit, pretty much everywhere in the conference. I'll tune out from like USC games, honestly. They're pretty gross. But like this team is just the best team. They're just the best team here. And it took us like 3 months to come to terms with that, I think, because they weren't supposed to be. As Tom Izzo himself notes, they were picked fifth in the preseason, and he thinks that's accurate even right now because it was accurate coming into the year. We didn't know that Jace Richardson was going to be a superstar. Tom Izzo didn't even know that. He started Frankie Fiddler over him for a month. And I don't mean that as disrespect, but like this team's identity has evolved over the course of the season to this group now that, they still go 10 deep, but they're giving the right guys bigger roles. And I think better basketball has come with that. Like they going 4-0 in this stretch is unbelievable. You still have all the depth and the toughness and the defense that was great with this team, even when they were doing all the rotations. But you have like some legitimate stuff you can rely on that comes from Holloman and Jace that has just not been there at least early in the season in November that has suddenly been there now. It's impeccable to watch. Um, Holloman's shot becomes the story. Tom Izzo said in the post game, right on the court with Andy Katz, he was like, "It's a lucky shot, but we deserve to win the game. We deserve to win the game." And there was the moment where Andy was like, "Why do you think you deserve to win the game?" He was like, "Didn't you watch it?" Like, I spit out my drink laughing at that. Katz is a gem. Katz was doing, I don't know, circles in his brain on that one. After the game, I think Tom was honest in the moment to be like, it was a lucky shot, but we deserve to win the game. I think that's the right way to frame it. You hit a 60 footer, there's an element of luck involved in that.
Yeah, right.
But there was no luck. Michigan State was decisively the better team. Izzo then hit the podium after the game, after talking to Katz, and changed his tune and said, it's not a lucky shot at all. We work on those. So where are you at with this? Do you think Michigan State was lucky to escape with a victory here, and was the shot lucky at all?
So, given that they were up 9 with 2 minutes left, and obviously they have the turnover, and you want to give credit to Maryland because they just kept chopping away at it. They kept attacking the hoop, and Michigan State was fouling them as they got to the hoop, and they were able to make free throws with the clock stopped. But I think that Michigan State was the better team in that basketball game. So maybe that's where it comes from. Also, there were some theories in there that Tom wasn't necessarily, that was his way of saying he wasn't necessarily happy with how the game was being called down the stretch, but I didn't really see anything that was blatant or anything like that. But I think it stems from the fact that I think he realized his team did enough defensively and made just enough plays offensively, especially in the end of the second half, to win that basketball game where you find yourself up 9 with 2 minutes left. That's a game that you expect to win, and I think you deserve to win on the road.
Yeah. Yeah, again, I thought Michigan State was decisively the better team basically the whole game. I mean, I know Maryland led by 2 at halftime, um but this was a really ugly basketball game. Neither offense could get going at all in the first half. Both offenses found some stuff in the second half, but like I felt like the game was being played on Michigan State's terms. Like it was ugly in the first half, largely because Michigan State's defense was able to drag Maryland into the mud, kind of similarly to what they did to Michigan. And then in the second half, they just separated because guys started to make the plays needed to create some separation. Maryland's offense still couldn't get going. The front court was a disaster for Maryland because Michigan State was great defensively. It was all played on Michigan State's terms until a minute and a half left, and Michigan State just made some uncharacteristic mistakes. So, look, I don't know. I wouldn't get hung up on the term luck here, one way or the other. I do find it funny that like Izzo, like it kind of in the moment without thinking, it was like it was lucky, and then had 10 minutes to process and was like it wasn't luck.
Yeah,
But
did you see what he said on the Field of 68 interview afterwards too?
no, what he said, I didn't know he
He
went
was
out to
like,
68.
yeah, so he was on, it was hilarious. First of all, Izzo is just like, his voice is just in hell at this point, given the season and his career. Like the dude needs all types of cough drops at this point. But it's just like, I mean, honestly, Trey's lucky I didn't take his ass out after that turnover, but luckily I didn't because he was able to hit that because you could see in the game too, like Trey Holloman tried to do that quick little, hey, I'm gonna just walk past coach because we got to lock in for this last shot, but Izzo was ready to let him have it for that get for jumping in the air in that spot and turning it over. But um, yeah, he pulled out the maybe in my younger days I might have pulled Allen out, but this team they're so resilient. These guys are just they're just so for each other. I in that moment I had to let Trey get it.
Yeah, I mean, I think Izzo has like figured out his guys a little bit, right? Which
Hmm.
there can still be downside to this because like you got to pick one of the guards to put on the bench at all times.
Right,
It's either Holloman, Akins, Fears, or Jace. It's not gonna be Jace.
right.
Spoiler alert: you're not taking that dude out
Uh,
ever.
can I give you your flowers real quick?
Sure.
Because I was frantically trying to find this, but unfortunately, I think it was on a deleted video. RIP. But you said, I don't know if it was like a hot take or like a not even a hot take. I think you truly meant it, given what you saw from Jace. You were like, this team actually has a Final Four ceiling if Jace is in a major role and Jace is the go-to guy.
Hmm. Yeah, I
I'm
believe that.
I'm kind of starting to believe that too, because Jace is just that special, and he had
Yeah.
cramps in the second half, unfortunately. But I mean, he still made the plays. He's just so special in the pick and roll and the ball screen. He's so crafty the way he gets to his spots and the unreal finisher. Also, once again, talking exuberant amounts of shit to everyone and every bucket he was getting, letting him know that Maryland cannot guard him. I absolutely love that kid, and credit to you and Flowers for you, because I feel like you've seen it and been singing the praises more than others since day one.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I really haven't understood why we've been so hesitant at stretches of the season to just go all in on the kid. And I give Izzo a bunch of credit for getting there. Like it just I don't know. Like yes, this team is special because they're deep, but every team in the country would tell you they want a top 10 player in the country. And like
Right.
that's what Jace essentially is. And I think you're seeing like everybody else on this team who contributes so much to this team doing all the little things, I think can take such a breath of fresh air now that they have a legitimate star to do the big things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I think this issue for this team was always going to be who is going to do the big things, who is going to carry the burden of the scoring load, who is going to in a tie game with a minute left be the guy. And now there's a guy who naturally does it, and everyone else can do the little things.
It's great to have guys that are like grinders, work hard, little things, all the things you're pointing out. Teams that are like, I forgot what's the term, like bite the effing floor, whatever. Like those type of guys are good to have. But you also need a guy that's going to be able to do the special things and be
Yeah,
special. And Jace is like, I mean, Jace had 8 rebounds in this basketball game.
yeah. I
So
mean,
long as fit.
and Izzo is correctly playing him like the star that he is now. He's
Right
played
now, he's
33
he's
minutes,
leading the team
34
in minutes every
minutes,
game.
and that's he would have played 37 minutes in this game if he didn't cramp. So, um, and look, it's not like we should knock it for not happening that much earlier either, because you won what 15 straight games with him in a smaller role. So
Mhm.
I do like I hear the point from people that are like, hey, he was able to sort of slowly come along and it helped him. But yeah, bottom line, it doesn't really matter how we got there. We're there now. Jace Richardson is one of the best players in the country, and this team is terrifying when you have that mixed with all of the toughness, intangible stuff around him. I was thinking about this too. Look, you got a championship to win this year. You got a March run to make this year. I'm not trying to fast forward. Hypothetically, if you can somehow convince Jace to come back, isn't this team like preseason top three in the
Yeah,
country?
yeah,
Jace Richardson, year two. All you're replacing at that point is Aiken Zapala, Fiddler. The
yeah.
continuity that would return with everybody else back around Jace Richardson, with Cam Ward, with Jordan Scott, and then maybe you portal in like one shooter or portal in one center for the Fiddler Zapala replacements. Like,
Hmm.
I don't know. There's such a clear vision for like this team would be insane next year if he somehow comes back with how young this team still is. A reminder, this team is very young as they're doing this, and it's been pretty fun to watch.
Yeah, and it's been fun too. To like, we expected, or at least a lot of people kind of had this inkling in their head that it'd be Akins, like that one Michigan State senior who's kind of stepping up in a bigger role, in a larger role. And honestly, Akins has struggled for really most of this year. But while Akins has struggled, I think that Trey Holloman has taken this jump as a guy who is able to just be this dog defensively, make plays. He's a better passer than he gets credit for. We say that all the time. And he's just a dude that just has shit to his game. He's got shit to him and it works and he's confident. And, even in a game where he didn't shoot the ball well, I mean, he was that first half. I was wondering if Trey Holloman was all right. I was wondering if maybe some sickness went around the team. He was just clanking shots left and right off that weren't even close. But,
He was also
um,
like doing some weird, like he had a 1 2 to 3 minute sequence where he was just like trying some out of character shit
yeah,
offensively, which
yeah.
kind of to me, it kind of felt like he got, which maybe it is, and you got to just let him rock because this is who he is. But it felt like the Michigan game, how good he was, sort of got in his head and had him feeling himself a little
Yeah,
uncharacteristically.
I think that might just I think you might just have to live with that though.
Like he becomes the irrational confidence guy on Michigan
Yeah,
State, which
right.
I don't hate on this team, honestly.
Yeah, I think it just might be a good role for him. I mean, the dude calls himself Jiggy.
Yeah, I've been debating changing my Twitter name to Gregathon, but
Listen, I'm not musical. I might have to tap in. I need a Jigathon anthem. Like the national anthem, I need all who are able to rise and pay homage to the Jigathon.
what was the Fredette?
Jigger for that. Like
Just
it's
insane.
just great, man. You just go across like Instagram and everyone's just like, yeah, jig.
It's insane. Um, yeah, where's Holloman at? Like it, I, man, I'm in such a weird spot with this man because, like, again, I say this every effing recap at this point. I love this team. I love watching this team. I'm not gonna hide it. I'm not gonna deny it just because I root for their biggest rival. I adore this basketball team. I find it so fun to watch this team just out tough people game after game after game and make big plays late. And Trey Holloman's a huge part of it. He's such a lovable character. At the same time, don't you find it funny? Like we're coming off this game where he hits one of the biggest shots in the last decade of Michigan State basketball, and then we step back, we're like, he's the best. We love him. On a night where he was 3 for 12 and
Yeah.
almost threw the game away and had a horrible stretch in the first half, and after we're just like, oh, it's Jig, he did it.
Just
Like
love just what a game of basketball. I was ready to absolutely kill the kid after the turnover that he hits a 60-footer.
something lovable about Trey Holloman in general. Where's he at? Like on the all-time likability rankings, I feel like Trey Holloman is extremely high in
He's
Michigan.
extremely high, and I think he's somewhat taking like the fans used to be like, oh God, Trey, like kind of like the Hauser-esque like likability scale jump. Like everyone loved Hauser at the end, but I feel like people weren't in on Hauser immediately. I feel like some people felt like that about Trey originally.
Y'all are
And
also just like tough on your players.
yeah, well,
That's part of it.
yeah, is that Izzo's fault?
Maybe, yeah, maybe the fan base takes on an Izzo mentality, but like I even like in the last two games where like Holloman and Jace have been incredible. Like I've seen tweets that are like these two need to be better. It's like y'all are on a 4 game winning streak, running through the league, hitting huge shots. Like just
Right.
enjoy
And
it.
and Izzo's just getting the best out of everyone. I think that's what I because this team, as good as they are, I do find it hard to explain sometimes because obviously like we do like the whole little things. And I do want to touch on what the Michigan State bigs were able to do in this basketball game and just Michigan State in general. Like, we won the rebounding battle astoundingly in this game. We had 13 offensive rebounds in this game. I just think there was a lot of little things done by Michigan State in this game, and the interior defense by all the bigs combined, I thought was really good in this game. Whether it was Cooper, Kohler, Zapala, I thought all those guys were good in making things tough on Julian Reese and Derek Queen, who did a great job. But also, like I feel like they were frustrated to the point that they couldn't score inside as easily as they usually do. And then they started taking some, excuse my language, they started taking some bullshit in that game because they weren't able to get the shots they wanted.
That wasn't
But
because they couldn't get the shots they want. Like respectfully, they did a really good job defensively. Derek Queen takes those shots every game.
that's very true. That's very
Like
yeah.
this, we're not gonna act like, oh, Xavier Booker had Derek Queen in hell. Derek Queen took some stupid ass shots that he does every game. I have bars for Derek Queen when you want, but like
Yeah,
y'all did a phenomenal job on Reese,
I
and
know
you
we're gonna
did a
get there.
very good job on Derek Queen too. You baited him into some nonsense, but when Derek Queen wanted to, he was still bulldozing people. He just didn't want
Yeah,
to very
that's
much.
that that's very that's fair. But yeah, this Izzo's just getting the most out of all these guys. And I think he always talks about, and honestly, it gets annoying to me at some points. Like, Izzo's guys, Izzo's doing it. Like sometimes I think it's used as a band-aid to excuse the fact that maybe this team like lacks talent in certain areas. But I don't think anyone can deny it's special what he's doing with this team this year. For this team to be 23-5 and 14-3 in the conference, like with all due respect, even the Michigan State fans, I know they're confident in their team, and I love my team as well. I don't think anyone saw this. not this. Like you might have saw this team being successful. I don't know if anyone saw this.
Brett did. Odell Bredham did.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
he
oh
did.
no, OBJ has us win the national title every year.
I'm just saying, like you can't say nobody did because OBJ did. He
Yep, you're
reminds
right.
us every single night.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just it's a great team. It's uh, truly to me, it's an all-time likable team. It's just an all-time fun, likable, enjoyable team to watch, and I say that as a rival fan. Like I really adore watching this Michigan State team, and I don't really care about trying to hide that anymore. I like watching this team every time they hoop. They have so many characteristics I think fans across the country desperately wish their team would have. They are tougher than you. They are more connected than you. They like you're talking. You mentioned talent and like stars, whatever. Y'all got the talent now. Y'all
Mhm.
have one of the three best guards in the country now. Like that's what was maybe the only thing missing, that and shooting. And he does both. He was 0 for 3 from 3 in this game, but like you can't really knock shit about this Michigan State team when Jace is in this role.
No, and at the end, like the crazy thing to me, and I was thinking about this last night, is like we realize how good Jace is. Jace is like in mock drafts, like lottery, as high as 10. We saw yesterday. We talked about also like Jace steps on the floor with these other first round draft picks, and he ends up being the best player on the floor.
Yeah,
Like he's the
usually.
best player on the
Yeah.
floor with Kasparis on the floor. He's the best player on the floor with Ace Bailey on the floor. He's the best player on the floor with Derek Queen. Like he's consistently the best player on the floor, and it's not a coincidence.
He hasn't really had a stinker. UCLA was a stinker. He was 0 for
Yeah,
6 at UCLA. But outside of that, like he hasn't really had an all-time bad game this year either, which is crazy, remarkable for a kid as young as he is. The word for me when I watch Jace, it's cool. Like he is just a cool hooper, if that makes sense. Like everything he does is like smooth and easy, and he can get to the rim, he can put it on the deck, he can step back, he can fade away. He has like he seems to love that like jump stop pump like step through little in between floater. Like that's kind of almost becoming his signature move to me, which is such an advanced move. Like you don't see 18-year-old freshmen in college with that move. That's a move you're supposed to get in the NBA.
it's got to be so frustrating to guard him too when he's coming
Yeah.
downhill left because as quickly as he can get to the rim, score with his left, or as quickly as he can do that little kind of like half pivot reverse, shoot a little mid range, or possibly do that little pump fake floater you just talked about. He could also just come off that pull back and just pull for three.
Yeah.
It's extremely he's an extremely tough check.
Yeah, he's cool. He's smooth.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just unguardable at this point. So yeah, sky is the limit. I mean it sounds crazy. I don't think I was ever even getting to this point really with this team, but like now that this is very clearly the motion, it's everything around Jace and let everybody else play roles. I mean, this team has national championship upside. They do. It's a little crazy to say because Duke and Auburn are that good, but like there is no reason this team cannot make a Final Four run. And like I said, I think it's very clear, very apparent to me at this point. Michigan State is the best team in this league. You don't go through the 4 game gauntlet that you just did. I mean, we were saying 2-2 in that stretch would have been a good result. 3 road games at Illinois, at Michigan, at Maryland. You got the best shot from all 3 of those. Maryland and Michigan are playing for Big Ten title hopes. Illinois is playing for revenge. And y'all just laughed in their face and chewed them up and spit them out and said, give me a 4 game win streak. We're still in first. Like, that is unbelievable, but it's also completely believable because that's who this team is. This team is tougher than you. This team is connected. This team is better than you when they have Jace Richardson playing like this. And I'm on. I tweeted it. It's a little overreactionary in the moment. Obviously, Michigan still controls their own destiny if they're going to go into Breslin and beat this team. But I I just like y'all deserve the title. After going through that 4 game stretch and hitting a shot like this to pin it, like I know you got Wisconsin coming, you still got to go to Iowa City, but like this is the team that deserves the title in this league.
Yeah.
And
That
sometimes the team that deserves it doesn't get it, but you deserve the title.
Yeah, that's the point I was gonna make. Like that, there's a lot of times when it doesn't happen, but I think it's fair. I think it's definitely not out of line, and you hit on that. This is the best team in the Big Ten right now. I don't think you can argue it, given the stretch they just went on and given the whole body of work. And then lastly, before we do touch on Maryland a little bit more, the Imitation Crab Five, the Krabby Patty Five. I'm working on some other names for them. Tried the DoorDash some crab rangoon this morning to eat on this recap. Most Chinese places are closed, but this at the core of just watching this team too, just very enjoyable. Like an enjoyable year of basketball. And I know it's like it's greedy because there's teams that have had way worse like 4 year stretches. But like this last 4 years has not been all that enjoyable to me outside of like moments of like Tyson having a moment or Aaron Henry having that moment. It just, or making the Sweet 16, but like it just has not been
Yeah, I'm gonna have
enjoyable.
to stop you right there. If you want pity from me about your down year
No,
NCAA
no, no, no.
tournament
Sorry,
play,
I don't want pity for you. And listen. I pointed it out. I said
you've been through so much, Carr.
I feel bad
Oh,
complaining about it. I have not enjoyed the last few years of Michigan State basketball.
I
This has been
understand that.
very enjoyable.
I understand that. AJ Hogarth certainly could not stand in the corner and pass the ball to Jace Richardson on a 25 win team. He wouldn't.
Hey,
He
listen.
certainly wouldn't be
Also,
likable enough doing it.
let's not sleep in these last two games. For given for the all the big plays that have been made, they've all been capped off by Jeremy Fears threes.
Yeah,
Like
yeah. We'll
hit
talk
Banks
about
went
it.
in against Michigan, hits the one on the wing in this game.
Obviously, the full court shot was what it was, but there's an argument. Fierce's three was the biggest shot of this game. We can talk about that in just a moment. But all right, Maryland. Let's flip to these frauds, these
Uh,
effing losers.
it's time.
The Maryland Terrapins, or as I call them, the Maryland Terrifieds, the Maryland Terribles. I hate this team. I'm over this team. I'm sick of it. You tried to gas me up. You said they're your Terrapins. You picked them to win this game. So did I. I fell for the bullshit. Listen, this team is talented, no doubt about that. The starting five is very cohesive. If anybody tries to give this starting five a nickname again, I will drive to your house and spit in your face. This is ridiculous. Selton Miguel is Selton Miguel. I repeat, he's Selton Miguel. Good role player. Rodney Rice, honestly great in this game. I have no words for you. Jacoby Gillespie played pretty well, although he just was kind of sped up, but he got production out of this still before the terrible sequence late. The front court, oh my God. Oh my God. Julian Reese, like we don't have 4 years of data on this guy. How many times has Julian Reese ever actually been like an all Big Ten player? No, he's been like a stat padding loser. He's the Bruce Thornton of centers. And give him credit, he's like unselfish to slide to the four so you can let this transcendent Dericola Queenanovich. Kevin Willard said he'd go #1 if he was a white European. Dog, if Derek Queen was a white European, he would never even get a scholarship. He'd be stuck in Lithuania. This guy's way too finesse. He doesn't even have any sort of actual dog in him. This dude just wants to float on the perimeter, take fadeaways, and then when he misses, like hang his head, clap, and pout, and let the other team get a 5-on-4. Maryland looked like they hadn't scouted Michigan State. They looked like they had no idea Michigan State likes to run in transition. Derek Queen was guarded by Xavier Booker and Frankie Fiddler for 80% of this game, and he refused to just sit in the post and go to work. He blew two bunnies in the first 5 minutes of this game. He could have had 10 points by the second media timeout. He smoked two layups and then never went back in the post the rest of the game. Like I don't know how anyone can root for this guy, and I understand I'm being harsh. He is what people think Danny Wolf is. People think Danny Wolf is this like soft dude that he only plays on the perimeter. He thinks he's a point guard. He's not. He's turnover prone. He does all these losing things. That's Derek Queen. And he's going to get drafted. He's going to go to some NBA team. Maybe he turns into Boogie Cousins. I don't know. It's been a great year for Maryland. I'm not taking that away from them. But there are levels to this shit. There are levels to competing. Are you a good team with talent or are you competing for things? This was the game to prove that you were competing for things. Maryland packed this house. They had lines out the door. They striped the student section. Andy Katz was in the rafters. And for your five starters to deliver this type of performance, Julian Reese, 4 points on 7 shots. Derek Queen, 10 points on 11 shots. Selton Miguel was in foul trouble. It's 4 minutes into this game, taking step back jumpers. It's a disaster to me, and it showed who they really are. And again, people have been trying to nickname this group. They have been trying to nickname this group. It's nonsensical.
Yeah, justice for Jimmy King. Justice. That's all I gotta say about this. But yeah, I think Michigan State's defensive effort in this game was really really good. Like I already pointed out the interior defense, and look, if you're a Maryland fan, utterly disappointing performance. Like I think you point everything surrounding this game. What's on the line? That place was rocking. They striked it out. People were in line at like 9 a.m. for this basketball game. SVP was courtside. Like this was a game for them. They had Ryan Hammer in the house, damn it. And they laid an egg. 420 from three, 31% from the field. Like they were awful. They were awful offensively in this game. And it is a credit to Michigan State's defense. But also you have to come, and I think you said this, you gotta come ready to play Michigan State because they're going to bring that shit to your doorstep, whether at home or not. Maryland was not ready.
Yeah, they play like they're just, oh, we're talented and we're good. This is fun. And Michigan State plays like we don't give a fuck about any of that. We're here to win.
Mm.
And Maryland just like goes through the motions and is talented. And let's shoot more contested jump. Like I straight up don't think they scouted Michigan State. Everything they did in this game to me was just like indicative of the fact that they had no idea how to actually attack Michigan State. The only thing that makes me think they did
The
was the zone.
defense, yeah,
The zone was good.
that was nice, and it was kind of like it was sort of like Dusty-esque because it was like zone with man principles at the same time. I actually really like what they did defensively, but offensively they were in shambles.
Yeah. Any revised comments on Tom Izzo begging for zone defense? And then I guess they beat Michigan zone for like 4 minutes late, and we thought they fixed it. And now, do you want more zone? Are we still begging for
I mean,
zone?
still 100% would rather teams play man. I understand where Tom's coming from. Let's not get too crazy now. I much rather have people play man, but I think that Michigan State has settled in a little bit that zone offensive performance. Even if it is bad in stretches and it does throw them off, I think they have, that one against Indiana was just an all-time stinker.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know that I'd say you settled in all that much. I guess the second half was better, but this was I mean, we made a lot of jokes about Michigan, Nebraska being ugly. The first half of this game was as ugly.
Yeah, I mean they just missed like outside of Jace, just a lot of float and mid range missed and shots missed. Whether it was, I mean, there was a point where Akins had zero up until most of this game, and Trey Holloman too. Like all nine came in the second half. He was not hitting anything in the first half. Beers was missing floaters. Everyone was missing outside of Jace, and a couple of bigs had some dunks and some free throws. So, yeah, I do think that obviously to reach the ceiling those guys are gonna have to hit those little mid-range shot floaters, and I know it's not their shots, but I think we have seen guys have the ability to do it. Like Trey Holloman has hit floaters, and I don't know what's wrong with Akins. I don't know if that'll even get figured out, but they can even get him somewhat shooting the ball better. His shot is so flat right now. I don't know what's going on, but yeah, I think it'll raise Michigan State's ceiling if they can get one other guy along with Jace to be able to, make plays.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry about that. I feel like we're doing this every game. Like if we can just get somebody else to make shot, you're not really gonna get that. It's Jace. If there is a second guy, it's Holloman, and
Yeah.
just lean into that. That's all you need.
Holloman's up to 36% in Big Ten play.
Literally, just lean into those two. That's all you need to do. That's what Tom Izzo is doing. You're on a huge win streak. Like I don't think we got to keep coming here. Like oh, if we could get more, like you got what you need. You need your superstar. You need Holloman, and play those guys. That's what Izzo's doing. It's working.
I want to get greedy.
Yeah, I mean, sure, but I don't know. Maybe like Fears seems like the next most likely guy to make shots at this point. That's crazy. Shout out to the Maryland bench, by the way, 31 minutes, 0 points. Great job, guys. Great cardio in this one. Jordan Geronimo did have the block of the decade, though. Did you
They
like
had the
that
block
one?
of it. I can't believe he played his bench that minute. I mean, obviously he had to. Sell Miguel's in foul trouble, but
Well, yeah, you
even
guys did
that,
the you thing where you just get someone out of the game immediately.
Yeah, but even so, still surprised that those guys played as many minutes as they did.
How many consecutive games has Michigan State gotten a starter auto benched on their opponent?
I
It,
I
it
couldn't
didn't
even tell
happen
you.
against Michigan, but I think it's happened in like 7 of the last 9 games or
I
so.
think, but the thing is, like this one, like you could make an argument that Michigan State is, people like to use the word foul baiting, something like that. It seems like maybe because of how Michigan State plays, Maryland, like some starters just get out of their character. Like Selton Miguel's both his two fouls were stupid. Like they were dumb
Yeah.
fouls that were like his fault. And I'm just like, I don't
Yeah.
know if it's like guys trying to do too much. Maybe he was too amped up about the situation, but like he picked up two of the quickest, dumbest fouls for no reason. And then it hurt the team, obviously.
I don't disagree. I think Michigan State consistently is the smartest basketball team on the court every time they play. But yeah, I think we talked about this maybe a month ago. I was like, it kind of feels like this is something somewhat strategic for Michigan State.
Mm.
Like y'all are so deep that it doesn't matter if someone gets in foul trouble, and it seems like you guys just always try and get somebody out on a team that's not as deep as you. And it's a smart thing to do, but it happens a lot. And when it happens, teams don't really have an answer. So, yeah, when Selton Miguel was out for most of the first half, I think that was a big part of Maryland's offensive struggles because they were just trying to play Deshaun Harris Smith, who is a disaster and didn't work out too well for them. Let's talk about the end game sequence stuff here. So you're up like 7. Well, you're up 4, and then Fears hits the 3. Did you like the shot attempt from Fears, given how they were guarding him in that moment?
I mean, yeah, I guess he just had to take that, given it honestly, and
Does he? I mean, he
I,
made it, so we're not going to sit here and say he shouldn't have taken it, but like, I would not say he has to take that. It's just,
would you want?
are you giving him the green light or not?
I mean, would you rather him done in that situation like drive?
We've seen him take that shot in recent games, and it's hit the side of the backboard. So
Right.
I guess I'm asking you if teams are going to do that to him in a one possession game with 3 minutes left, is that a shot you want him taking?
I mean, if I can get him not taking that shot, no. Also, I think it looked like Izzo wanted to get Holloman like 30 seconds before the under four, and then there was just no stoppage, and they ended up getting like 2.5 minutes, and they didn't get Trey Holloman back into the game for Fierce. So Fierce is in that spot where I don't think he would have been if they would either I don't know they were waiting for a foul or stoppage, but like it got to a point where there wasn't one. But I forgot where the shot clock was when he shot that. I'm assuming it was going down. So at that point, you just got to take it. At least, you know, have the ability to step up and make it. I think that's two straight games where he's done it. Whether I mean, I know the first one was a bank in, but shit, you make it. I'm not complaining.
I give him credit for making it. He's a fearless kid. Fears on the night, 5 points. He was 1 for 6 from 2 point range. He had 5 points, 1 assist, 3 turnovers in 22 minutes.
Yeah.
I thought this was a disaster Fears game that he hit a huge shot late, and now we're not going to talk about how much of a disaster it was.
I
Um,
mean, he was bad in this game.
in the beginning of the year, remember again, I'm not doing the like comp thing that everyone did, but in the beginning of the year, the Ken Palm comps listed Cassius Winston as one of
Did
his
they?
comps. They did and for a while. We talked about it at one point. They no longer do. They now have like there's been more data, more minutes on the floor, so now we're getting players Fears actually plays like. Do you know who Fears' most similar Ken Palm player comp is?
Is it Xavier Simpson?
Elliot Cadeau,
Really?
which is they're identical, except Cadeau's a little more prolific right now. But like young Elliot Cadeau, freshman Elliot Cadeau is basically what Fears is. Teams don't guard that guy. And we just watched Cadeau in a North Carolina game this week go 0 for 4 in the first half, chucking wide open threes while people turn their back. He made 2 in the second half. So I do think it's something like Michigan State's got to figure out. Are they letting him take this shot? And if they are letting him take this shot, is he going to be on the court if he takes it? Like, because look, he made it, stretched the lead to 7, and then Tom was like, "Get out!" Like he didn't see the floor again after that, and then you turned it over in crunch time without the floor general on the floor. So I'm kind of like struggling with what Fears' role in all of this is. Like as
Mhm.
Jace emerges and as Holloman, his confidence skyrockets, it feels like Fears is getting squeezed out, even though he is the starting point guard. But like what's the ideal role for him? And I guess like Izzo didn't have him on the floor late trying to hold the 7 point lead. I think you could argue that hurt Michigan State in the sense that like do they turn it over? Does Trey leave his feet and hand it to Maryland if Jeremy Fears has the ball there?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a fair point to talk about. And I mean, I feel like we get on here every single like there are massive limitations to Fear's game offensively right now. And that's everything involved with it, right? Like that's not just like he's turning the ball over right now too, and he missed a lot of floaters and layups in this basketball game. And he needs to make some steps to be better at that. Um, but at this point, I mean, he played the least amount of minutes out of all the guards, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Um, let's see. Jace had 34, Akins 26, Holloman 20, Fears
20. So
22.
right. So I honestly think that looks different if Trey Holloman wasn't in foul trouble.
Probably.
So
And
I
yet,
don't I
look,
think
they're all
Izzo's
still
actually
playing 20, so squeezed out probably isn't the right word, but it's just like okay, Fears starts the game. He's like the quote unquote leader. In theory, I think like he should be a crunch time guy. But like in this game, he hits the big three where they don't guard him. Izzo's like, yeah, no, we don't want more of that. And then he's not there to like break a press late. So like when do you trust Fears and when do you not? That's what I'm trying to figure out, right? Like clearly he's gonna play. But like to me, like a 7 point lead with 2 minutes left would be when I do want Fears on the floor. Because I actually trust him at the free throw line. I trust him to like help break pressure and slow things down. And look, Holloman hit the huge full court shot. So obviously, like I'm not saying Fears needed the ball late or anything like that. I've been advocating for less Fears since the beginning of the season. Everyone knows this, but I am just confused on exactly what role he's in now as Jace and Holloman are becoming the guys here.
Yeah, honestly, I think there's a little confusion with everybody on what his role is next to those guys.
Yeah.
Even from Izzo, because right now Akins is so bad from three, and honestly so bad just from the field and everything like that. It's like in an ideal world, Akins is playing good enough where he's that third guy, but he really hasn't up until this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah. I don't like harping on it because obviously Fears needs to be better. He was bad in this basketball game. Honestly, didn't like some of the body language stuff from him in this game. I thought there was a lot of like he was trying to be a leader, but he was more so pointing at his teammates for mistakes that honestly I thought he was making. Um, but I don't. He needs to develop some type of offensive anything arsenal. And yes, he hit the big time three, but there needs to be a massive step for him in his career. If he's going to be the go-to point guard of this team. And it's so, it's something we'll have to monitor and see.
Yeah, it was a huge three, though. Give him credit for stepping up and hitting it and being fearless. I mean, on a night you win by three, it's as big of a shot as the full court heave was. All right, on the heave, how did that come to be? I tweeted about it. Kohler's rebound to outlet pass was nearly as impressive as the made shot to me, and no one's going to talk about it. I mean, tell me everything you saw there.
Yeah, well, first of all, shout out to Jacoby Gillespie
What
for
an idiot,
taking
man. I'm sorry. What an idiot. What are you doing? Take the last shot. Drive. You've just gotten to the free throw line 6 times in the last minute on phantom foul calls. Like, this game cannot be won by Michigan State in regulation. You have the ball with 10 seconds left. Like, damn, dude. How dumb can you be? That was the
yeah.
dumbest shot I've seen all season.
Yeah, it did. That one didn't make any sense. And uh part of that too that's also funny is Derek Queen with like the fake contest at the free throw line jump. It's just
Well, it's a perfect microcosm of this. Every guy on Michigan State, you can go back and cut the tape, take screenshots second by second as this play goes through. When that shot, first off, Jacoby Gillespie dribbles down. Everyone on Maryland is like doing the dumbest possible thing in the moment that contributes to hurting their team. And everyone on Michigan State is doing the smartest possible thing in the moment that contributes to stealing a game like this. Jacoby Gillespie comes down, takes a horrible shot. Michigan State defends the hell out of it. Like, and not saying they wouldn't, but like you got a great contest on that shot. Shot goes up. Everybody on Maryland stands and watches. There is not even an ounce of effort on Maryland to try an offensive rebound this. Michigan State has five guys boxing, like great textbook box outs, even though in theory this should be the last shot of the game. Kohler has his hands up, ready to rebound before the ball even hits the rim, comes right to him, makes a perfect outlet pass to a point guard that's streaking. Like every guy had to like not waste 0.1 seconds doing the wrong thing for this shot to even come about. And everyone just did their job, took care of business. Meanwhile, Gillespie quit on the play the moment the shot left his hands. Derek Queen is fake jumping at defense, and the other three Maryland dudes are standing there watching. Like it's just the perfect example of how Michigan State basketball works. Like this team is full of 10 dudes that do their job, even the littlest, dirtiest, grimiest job, boxing out, making an outlet pass, clapping on the bench. This team does it better than you do. That's what the whole MO is. And they do it every possession. They do it relentlessly. And when you talk about wearing you down, it doesn't wear you down just because they have 10 dudes. It wears you down because those 10 dudes are wired like that. Every time they step on the court, even if there's half a second left, they're going to do their job better than you do yours. And that was the difference in this game, even down to the final play to me. It's crazy.
Yeah, I honestly I couldn't say it better than that, and I feel like that sums it up pretty well. Last thing I did want to point out that I had on my trusty dusty notepad here. Uh, Michigan State. This was a very ugly game. Michigan State turned the ball over like 10 times in the first half. Thought it was great adjustment and value in the ball in the second half. They end with 12 turnovers in this game, but I thought there was a more of a note to take care of the ball too in the second half.
Yeah, fair.
Didn't make shots, but they also like didn't turn the ball over 10
Yeah.
times in one half. I think actually 9 times, sorry, in the first half.
Yeah, that's fair. I think shot quality said 16% chance of Trey Holloman hitting that shot, which honestly, like when you spell it out, feels high to me. Is he 16% on full court heaves?
But look, Tom Izzo, they do a half court shot during walkthrough every
Oh.
single game. They said that Trey Holloman in the last 2 games has been a guy who's hit that half court shot.
Oh, I forgot. They practice those, so they must be the only team in college basketball that practices full court heaves, and that's why they made this one.
Ah.
Give them credit. Where does that shot rank for you? If I were you, it would rank pretty damn high for me in the history of Michigan State special moment shots because, again, I'll let you go, but like I'm pretty sure that shot just won you some form of the Big Ten title.
Yeah, it's up there because I think that's what that shot carries.
Let,
That's kind of what it is for me. I don't know where it's going to end up. We need to get to the finish line first, but in a world where that wins us the Big Ten title, that's up there. It's easily like top five.
give me the actual spot. You got the Lucia shot years ago. You got Cassius hit a half court shot.
You got yeah, the cash was like a half quarter though, or not. Sorry, before halftime. Like
And
that was
respectfully, that one was like meaningless. It was just like a
yeah.
fun shot, you know?
It was a fun shot, but it wasn't like the meaning of it. It was amazing. You
What
have
else am I
Lucia.
missing on big Michigan State shots? Are there other big ones?
I mean, there's been like the Zell Valentine's Day game winner against against Ohio State. Miles Bridges redacted and had the game winner against Purdue.
So just a lot of like regular season
Yeah, regular season. Kalen Lucas mid range at Chrysler.
to
That's an
win the
underrated.
rivalry. That's a big one.
That's an underrated one for me. But this one's up there.
I think this is the second biggest shot in the Michigan State program that I've seen.
You think behind Lucius?
Yeah, given just how crazy this make was, given that like this is the guy that just threw the game away. Given I don't know, it just felt like you deserved the game, but then you stole the game. The reactions to everybody and the implications that like this is going to win you a title.
Yeah,
I think that is the second biggest shot I've seen from a Michigan State player in my life.
I'm with you.
Celebration where you I mean they basically just mobbed Trey, joyous smiles on everyone's faces.
Love it. Want to send a shout out to Kurt Tang. got off the bench, quickly grabbed the ball, tossed it in the air, talked a little shit. Love that. Also, shout out to Michigan State social media team. All the video. I spent all of last night just watching Trey Holloman edits and videos from the team. Great photos all the way around. Um, but yeah, just a happy-go-lucky. Son was sleeping during that, so I had to do the like be quiet thing, but also celebrate. So that was
Lame,
tough.
lame. Wake the boy up, man.
Wake him up.
Yeah, that's got to be the move on a
Damn,
shot like that.
you think?
Yeah.
First time father. Sorry.
Oh, I hear you. There's certain moments in life like you got to teach the boy, right?
Yeah, well I do this thing during games where he is sleeping and they come on at the time. I wear oven mitts. So like I can literally just clap and I just scream to myself and I clap and you can't hear it when you have the oven mitts on.
We got to stream that. That'd be funny to put out there. All right. Feel like I had one or two more other things on this. Oh, I saw this. I think it was Cumbo on Twitter. Andrew Cumbo, a Cumbo, who was speculating based on Izzo's post-game answers that he might have a little bad blood with Willard. Did you
Oh,
see
I didn't
that?
see that. Uh-uh.
So I'm paraphrasing, but it was intriguing to me. Because the now I disagree with some of how Cumbo set this up. Like Cumbo was basically like Izzo's always the most respectful person ever, and in his post game he wasn't this time, and he just kept he was doubling and tripling down in the moment on like we deserved it. Are you kidding me? We deserved it,
Hmm.
which felt like a little just like I don't know defensive. It's honest, but like it's not like Katz was like coming in saying he didn't deserve the game, right? So
Yeah.
Cumbo is speculating there's some bad blood between Izzo and Willard because remember there were reports that there were Big Ten coaches using age to recruit against Izzo.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And Izzo's gone head to head with Maryland for like every recruit for 2 years.
Oh.
Izzo's been landing Jordan Scott and Cam Ward at the expense of Kevin Willard.
Ooh.
And Cumbo's hypothesis is that Izzo is just like pissy with Willard, and that's why he was being a little victory lappy there.
Huh. That's interesting. Because in the moment I took the "we deserve this" thing is that's his way of pulling the. I thought there was some calls that could have gone. There was some calls down the stretch there that either weren't fouls or they need that weren't fouls. But I could see that angle. Also, wouldn't that make sense that this would be the coach you would have beef with? Like he's been so complimentary of all these coaches, and then he just gets to Willard. He's like, yeah, nah, not him.
Yeah, he was also so complimentary leading up to this game, though,
Was
right?
he complimentary of Willard or just Maryland's
Just the
team?
team. But
Okay.
even in this, like in the rant here, he was like, I mean, give Kevin credit. I thought he did a great job, but we deserved it.
Yeah.
So
Also, that's a lie. Kevin didn't do a great job in this game.
yeah, Kevin,
It's Kevin.
don't let me bet on Kevin Willard again, please.
It's Kevin.
This Maryland team is like a fun team. They're gonna have a great trip to the round of 32. You know. Any final thoughts, Car? Any final words?
I love my life. I love Jiggy, Jigathon, and go green.
Congrats. Save the Big Ten. You did it again.